hear this, you are not alone. This is the resistance.
Governor General is now walking right to me, but he's talking to the media still. He's having an off-the-record conversation, which is, how's golf, whatever, I don't know. Goodness knows.
Yeah.
But they stop the Governor General, and he continues on his chat as if nothing is happening. And I'm looking at the military lady, which is very good at her job and was quite intimidating in the beginning of the conversation, but immediately turned into a human being as soon as I addressed my issue with her. So I looked at her, I said, "Ma'am." And she's like, "Yes." And she stopped and looked at me. Like, what do you want? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Man, what does it take for me, little Monctonian Canadian guy, to shake that man's hand before he leaves the city and probably the country?" And she's looking at me like she's stuck, like a deer stuck in headlights. Like, "You're asking me this? Do you even know where you are? Do you know even like what's going? How dare you ask me this?" Right? She had a very interesting face at first.
Yeah.
And then I explained to her that I was resident and so on and so forth, and that I was just happy that he had taken the time to come, just the same thing I had done to Thomas Montclair, that this man of this prominent statue that represents the country had taken the time to come to little old Moncton, New Brunswick. This was my primary in. This is what I would tell people to get in. At this point, this five-star general, or whatever it is, classification that she holds, she looks over to a guy that's completely decked out in a suit. Now, I can't be sure whether this man is CSIS, or what is he, or in charge of the security detail, but she looks at him and says he wants to shake his hand and thank him for coming to the city. He looks at her, she looks at him, he looks at me, I look at her, she looks at me, I look at him. We look at each other for about 45 seconds. And then I get the clearance, I get the okay, I get the nod. He's clear to go.
Nice.
So I got cleared by whoever that military personnel was to even get to the next guy, because I had to present an appropriate protest to a high-ranking military personnel officer, who then had to present my protest, in her own words, to the security detail, the person who's probably in charge of who puts the gas in the carb, all the way down to where we eat, where the gas goes, who walks out of the car first, who jumps in front of the bullet first, and all these things. I can only assume that that's who she's talking to. And I got cleared by both of them. Then the Governor General comes down. And I'm like, all right, I'm doing this. And I shake his hand. And it had to have been one of the funniest encounters I've ever had. I shook his hand, and I said, "Governor General, thank you for coming down to the city. You didn't have to come down. We know that you don't have to be at these events, but you took the time to be here today, and that is important to us. To little Canadians like myself, that is important to us." And then his response was, "Such nice people in Moncton, isn't it?"
That's cool.
And I was like, "Yes, sir. Plenty of nice people to be found in this city." And at that point, my girlfriend steps up out of the shadows, because she didn't get clearance. She didn't speak to anybody. At that point, she was the one that was worried about the imaginary line. So she's coming up and she's like, "Sir, may I take a picture?" So he says, "Absolutely." So she takes the picture of me and the Governor General. Governor General reaches over, grabs the phone from my girlfriend, hands it to the staff member, and says, "Okay, now you're going to take a picture of the three of us."
That's cool. I like that.
You know what I mean? So here I am. I'm like, here's the highest-ranking member of the Canadian political system insisting that this picture be taken with the three of us, and so on and so forth. And the conversation was very, very short. I only got 2 minutes of the Governor General's time. But this is a man that needs 26 hours a day, and even if he had it, he wouldn't have enough time to do what needs to be done. He took those 2 minutes to speak to a representative of the Worldwide Resistance Network, although it was unbeknownst to him.
Yeah.
And that's what we are, regular people making attempts to speaking to extraordinary, quote-unquote, people in our political arena.
Yeah, that's something that a lot of the activist community needs to understand, is that not all the politicians and whatnot are total douchebags pro-New World Order. Some of them are on our side, some of them are very approachable and very cool people. You just got to get to that point and talk to people and say, hey, we've got a grievance with this. What can we do?
Exactly.
And a lot of cases, you know, with these people that are on our side, they'll work with you and say, hey, you know, let's sit down and talk.
And that's what I'm saying, right? Because I have to admit, it's been brought to my attention that the shooter, Justin Burke, had been a fan of some of our pages, that he had liked some of our videos, and he heard us. He's in the same city as me, and this entire little teeny tiny piddly idea started in Moncton, and then I was like, how do I get international recognition? You know what I mean? So
you just go out there and get it. You just go out there and fucking get it.
You know, I don't always talk to the American people that are in the resistance, because they actually helped me set a lot of this up in the beginning, and they're rolling with their own punches. They're governing themselves. They know full well what John Connor is. They know full well what the resistance is, and they're governing themselves well within the parameters of what I've asked for. And I didn't ask for much. And I needed to make sure that when these investigations break, they're going to find us. We would be idiots to believe that they're not going to find us. A guy just killed 3 cops in the same city that gave birth to the Worldwide Resistance Network, and he had on his Facebook page the anonymous Worldwide Resistance.
Yeah.
It's not going to take a rocket surgeon or a rocket scientist or a neurosurgeon to put these two things together.
No, it's not. And by you approaching these people, you didn't go out and try to get an interview. Hey, is this a conspiracy to fuck the people? No, you put it in their heads and you got it out and said, this is not what we, the people, are about.
Exactly.
This is not what we want.
That would have been the mission. That is the point.
Yep.
A person that can scream, I hate the government, but can actually get to these most prominent political figures and have an intelligent and empathetic conversation with them. I don't know what happens when my face ends up in certain files and they start questioning what my motives are. Like, it's important that people know that I have no intentions of strapping myself up with a gun and killing people.
Well, it's like I said earlier. You portray the kind of character you want. If you want a positive image, if you want the world to see you in a positive way, take positive action, do positive things.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you did. You made a point with these people, and they're going to see this on all social media accounts. These governments who are watching us are going to see this, and in a lot of instances, the corrupt New World Order puppet dickweeds are going to try to twist it and try to discredit any of that. But we got it out there that we took the first step and said, hey, we can talk like human beings, one man to another.
It's physically possible.
It is physically possible. We have broken down that barrier, and we have proven that not all these people are bad. Like I said, there's good and bad in everything. We just got to be able to reach the right people who can make the change. If we can reach those people, then we have a chance. Because going headlong and going nuts, if it has to lead to a war, it's going to lead to a war. But if we can pursue a diplomatic solution to this problem, why not?
If we can do it, if we can at least attempt to try, why not try? Try, let it fail. Because if we don't even try, we're not even going to get a chance to succeed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, in conclusion to all of this, because all of it was not a good story, okay, this is where it gets really bad. I had to physically restrain myself. Like, I had every fiber of my being wanted to assault a cop yesterday.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
And it's important, because now I have to tell you why. Okay? And I need all of the people of Canada and all of the people of Moncton to be aware of this.